So it's Dr. Papa here. The primary purpose of this video is to share information to my co-op membership in Islands, but there's no reason to not share it with the broader audience. And with the chat restrictions that are currently going on within Roblox, and him not being in the same group that I am in, makes it a bit of a challenge. So we've been trading these signs back and forth, but it's a royal pain. So without further ado, let me walk you through what I have set up for my co-op to help with experience. We set up a goal for this particular co-op to have all levels at 75 or above. We're getting close there on farming. Wood cutting and forging are already over. Doing pretty well on the rest of them. Economy 70. Combat is over 76. The light melee is doing pretty well because I prefer to use my noxious stinger, but the rest of these will get up there eventually. And then furthermore, we want to make this an economy orientation. Not for sure if we're going to do red, bronze, or gearbox yet, but as it stands right now, we've got a couple of different opportunities. One, we've got a copper thing over the here that's currently doing copper plates. We have a little mini red bronze farm sitting over here, and it is just a single copper with 2 gold that are doing, just enough to do materials. I mean, that's been sitting there for a couple of hours, so it's not doing any fantastic amounts. We are building blocks, marble blocks. Right now they're being cut into marble blocks with the industrial stone cutters. We're also doing the same thing with granite. So we're getting a combination of granite and marble bricks to do some building later on. We are passively getting our animal XP. And so how we're doing that is a couple of things. One, as soon as we have the ability, I keep adding in large and small animals. 2, I have automatic feeders that are coming in here, going through this oven, that produce baked potatoes, which are good for horses and chickens. On this side, it does a filter and pulls out half of those and pulls it through this time chest into just regular potatoes. The sheep do that. And when sheep are fed with their stuff, they produce wool, which is, better empty that out. Wool helps with XP. Every time they produce wool, it's another 45 XP. We've got a third auto thingy over here where I've caught some offline. I've caught some carp, which are the favorite fish or not the favorite fish, but they're favorite foods of the vultures, so we'll keep them fed. So unfortunately, there's a glitch going on in Roblox Islands right now where you can't feed your animals. So you have to use these automated or regular troughs to get the food into them. So each time you feed an animal, that gives you XP. Each time you pet an animal, that gives them XP. On the sheep, each time they give wool, that gives XP. For the chickens, each time they lay eggs, that gives XP, etc. So we want to be able to do passive animal XP by enabling as many of these feeders to get them to produce their items and the extra XP that you get without having to constantly pop in here and pet them to get any kind of XP. So the last feeder is over here, and it is doing red berries. The reason it's doing red berries is twofold. One, the chickens like red berries as well as the baked potatoes. So that's part one. Part two, it keeps the turkeys from eating the raspberries so that they're producing raspberries on a constant basis, which is additional XP. Not to mention the raspberries are important for berry pancakes that help allow us to do what we need to do. So, other areas that we have in our little XP thing. One, I can run down here and do a whole bunch of grapes off the bat, and that will help produce a lot of XP on the farming. Here I've got a track that is a huge amount of berries. In fact, it is hundreds of both red, I shouldn't say both, I should say all red berries, blueberries, and blackberries, with more red berries and blueberries than the blackberries, because I use the red berries for feeding chickens and turkeys, and I use the blueberries for blueberry cookies, for the berry pancakes, etc. Blackberries are not really used for anything except for selling to Cletus for economy points. But this just sits here, and all I'm doing is I've got an auto clicker running so that this just runs round and round and round she goes, and collects a ton of berries for my recipes. It also collects berry seeds, an important source of regular economy. I've sold probably 500-600 seeds so far. That's why I have well over 1 billion, and I've thrown 5 billion into my shared storage since starting this account. So, you know, berries and berry seeds are a good way to deal with both your economy XP as well as some cash for selling to shops. Next item we have is the wood farm. I'm not the originator of this, but basically I get on here, the flag starts running, I get around to the side, and I set my auto clicker in motion. There we go. And we are off to the races. You will notice that I've got totems underneath. I've done the totems for the additional damage. I need more up by the hickory than I do down by the pine, and oak doesn't have any underneath it to be able to pretty much one-shot all of the wood. And that way when I come back around, I'm picking up all of this wood each pass I go through. Some passes I won't get any wood, but for the most part, I'm definitely pulling in a lot of XP. You'll notice over here in the wood cutting XP, I'm already completed with my 4x bonus for the day, because I was running this for quite some time. But it'll just run here until it eventually times out. If the server times out, it'll sit me over here on the side at launch. Sorry, at spawn. If the server times out, and then I'm just sitting over here, and the macro is continuing to run things that auto run for themselves. Other areas that we have set up is mining. Probably the only unique thing about other mining setups that you've seen is as soon as possible, and in fact, you can do it at level 1. You can go to Pirate Island and get enough obsidian to set this up. The reason I do obsidian is as hard as I can hit it with this maximized mallet, I'm still not going to take it out in a single hit. So you want to use obsidian as soon as you can for doing your mining area. And that way there's much less likelihood of you inadvertently dropping off some of your mining stuff by hitting one of these underblocks. And so I have a mix of... Stop that. I have a mix of aquamarine totems, iron totems, and even a few coal totems. The reason I have that mix in here is one, I need crystallized iron. I need crystallized aquamarine for some of the stuff early on. Now it's more a case of aquamarine. I think it's aquamarine and a couple of others give maximum XP for the mining stuff. And so you want to do those totems that are going to maximize your XP as you move forward. Over the course of time, I will get rid of the coal totems and replace them with other maximum totems. I want to say it's... I'm forgetting which ones it is. Anyway, there are two others that are maximum XP when you're getting into your higher levels. I already talked about the marble and granite. I talked about the little red bronze farm. I talked about the little animals. We do have a small cactus farm. This is primarily for being able to repeat the one of the desert quests that requires you to do 50 cactus. There are 100 here, and that way both me and my co-op partner can do the quest and then replant the cactus, and the next time we do the quest it'll be there. Here we have a automated grape farm, and so all this is doing is it's just using the totems to throw stuff into the funnel. The funnel goes down 2 levels and comes out into here, producing a lot of these grapes. I'm going to go ahead and pull a couple of these and run over here to the cooking table, make me some grape jelly. Okay. And across the way, we have a wheat farm that goes into a food processor creating dough. The dough randomizes, some going over this way to be just dough that I can turn into cookies or berry pies or any other thing that I want to do with dough, versus all of the rest of these are going into the industrial oven and becoming bread that I can use for... Let me grab some out of here and pop over here, and I can add to my count of jam sandwiches. Jam sandwiches are very important for XP. The more you have of those, the more that you've got the ability to do additional XP. They give plus 15% skill experience while you're building up all of those different skills that we talked about. Okay, so you see I've got my little mini wheat farm doing both bread and dough. I've got enough cookies. I've got enough of the other things right now. And I've got my platform, my teleporters over here. The teleporters give us access to all of the different areas, including the underworld. We do have a couple of standard portals to get through, but right now the only thing that we're doing as far as teleporting is over to my steel farm. Now my steel farm uses the basic design from Eris, but it is stacked much higher. I have, instead of Eris 3.0 doing 3 platforms and then having all of its stuff, I have 8 platforms here. I will be switching this shortly to 6 platforms high, coming into steel presses for both plates and bolts to do gearboxes, but I'm not quite ready to do that yet. I am collecting a lot of the steel to be able to do my own molds and so forth. I don't want to go buy these things at a shop. Frankly, even with the weird economy that we've got right now, I prefer to self-provide than the other way. The reason there are 2 tier 2 input-output chests here is that if you let this run completely overnight, 8-9 hours, you will max out these chests and that's a lot of steel to work with the next day. I almost have all of my stuff ready to do my gearbox farm. I will do that as a separate video. Okay, but that's it. So we talked about the means by which I can farm. I've got my berry farm. I've got the grape farm down there. Although the berry farm self-plants, it's a lot easier and I can just AFK forever. We talked about the AFK woodcutting farm, AFK mining, how we use a combination of grapes, grape jelly, and other things to bump our economy up. The other huge contributor for economy is berries. In fact, we're going to pop over to the hub and I'm going to sell the berries here shortly. Animal care is pretty much on autopilot with those things that I showed you. Forging, I mean, the steel mill is cranking out forging XP quicker than I can do anything else. Fishing, DV put out a video probably 3 years ago about a script to use for fishing. And I use that. I'll run overnight doing some fishing, not only for levels, which I'll eventually get, but also propellers. Propellers are 240 million right now, and that's another way that I've seriously ramped up my amount of cash. Cooking, I get to pull the grapes and the bread out, the cookies that I talked about. All of those add to the cooking, and of course, combat is combat. Please look at my video on Chronix that does raids. They have been a huge help in me getting as far as I have on my combat areas. So let's pop over to Cletus in the hub. And we're going to sell some berries, see if we can't get to 75. I don't think so. I don't think I have enough. In fact, let's see if I've got any bonus economy. Yeah, I've got 532,000 of bonus. I did that very quick, so you may not have seen that. Up here in the top right, your daily bonus, I have another 532,000 of XP bonus that I can get rather than it just being straight. So first things first, let's pull out one of those yummy jam sandwiches so that I get the plus 15. All right, and then we're going to talk to Cletus. We're going to sell crops. And I don't want to sell all of my berry crops, but I can sell 10,000 of them without risking my food supply for the turkeys and chickens. So we're going to do that. Okay, got at least one level out of it. Blueberries. I'm not worried about doing any blueberry cookies at the moment, so I'm going to sell all on those. And that should ramp up quite a bit more. And then on blackberries, I'm also going to sell all there and see how far we get. And I made it to 75. Outstanding. All right, so my economy is as high as I want it to go as far as this co-op is. So I'm not worried about selling anything else to Cletus. I'll be selling stuff in shops and getting maximum cash for it rather than just selling to Cletus. But since I can now do vending machines, if we want to turn this thing into a market for the tier 2 vending machines, I can. And that's a good day. Anyway, that's all of the stuff that's in my co-op right now. And I will show you guys my gearbox farm as soon as I get it done. Y'all have a great day. See you in Roblox.